Happy New Comic Day, everybody, and welcome to the first New Comic Day Blast for September, and it's going to be a good one. I got some cool comic book news from around the industry, different publishers, dropping cool news the last couple of days, and I want to share all that with you. And I got some dope recommendations for new books that hit stores today and digital storefronts, because can't forget the digital crowd, because there were some dope debuts out today. So we got some brand new number ones, including one or two that have been delayed that were supposed to be out early, I'm talking April, May, and just got pushed because of COVID and the shutdown, especially the comic book industry shutdown with Diamond just shutting down everything, publishers, like nobody's working, nobody's pushing out books. So a couple of those books hit today. They've been kind of trickling back out, but I want to talk about two specific ones that hit today that I was looking forward to. So I'm going to get into those as well, and I might even show off some of the books that I picked up today. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to start with DC, and I feel like I've been talking about DC for every goddamn week for the last, I don't even know, month and a half. But there's always just something going on over there. And this one I'm actually just going to kind of gloss over. I won't go too far into it. DC has just announced their new GM, new general manager, Daniel Cherry. Now, the striking thing about this one that a lot of people are talking about is his background. He comes from the world of esports. I don't know, I didn't dig too far into it. I just saw, oh, okay, we got a dude from esports, and I imagine, just like me, a lot of people probably raising the eyebrows. Like, all right, you can bring a dude over from esports to the comic book industry. And on one hand, I'm cool because, like, oh, we got a brother working, behind the scenes at a comic publisher, finding some more faces, some more diversity, some different faces, and some more diversity behind the scenes, and hopefully it can bring about a change. But this also comes on the heels of several other moves that DC has made. Again, those mass layoffs and just the cancellations, and everybody's kind of speculation on the future. Maybe they're going digital in sometime within the next year, and it's really going to be, they're kind of, I don't know, just going back to Batman, and Batman is a staple. DC Comics, Detective Comics, everything based around Batman. So a lot of Bat-related stuff is going on, and that will, obviously, they're going to keep making that the primary focus, because we all know Batman and Superman, two of the most popular superheroes out there, along with Spider-Man, and I probably put Wonder Woman right behind. But you just know, just with the DCEU and everything, like, they just love going back to Batman, the characters, the stories. That is just one endless well of unlimited possibility. So they're gonna stick with that. So Daniel Cherry, who knows what he's gonna bring? I don't know. Like, I don't pay attention to esports. So it's just not a realm. Like, obviously I'm a big gamer, but I just never cared about esports. I don't care about watching these people just compete with each other. I hate the shoutcasting shit. That is just some of the most annoying shit I've ever heard. And I hate when they did that at E3. I know this is nothing specific to do with Daniel Cherry as far as I know. I don't know his background again. Just so I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, because I just wanted to vent that part about esports, because it's just weird ass shit and it's annoying. But anyways, so congratulations, Daniel Cherry, and welcome to DC and your GM position. Now what this also means is Jim Lee's role gets adjusted a little bit. Still gonna be there, still gonna be Jim Lee and do what he does, but I think it's just gonna be a little more focused on just those most popular characters and kind of guiding them and just guiding that. But again, it all depends on, I don't know, it's just gonna be interesting for the next year or so, and watching the moves that DC makes. And you still have Warner Brothers and AT&T and seeing what they're kind of doing with the company. So it's just gonna be a lot of interesting stuff. So a lot of people will be keeping their eyes peeled, and I will as well. And I will continue to just share random bits of news and info and updates that comes out from the publisher. So that's DC, their new GM, Daniel Cherry. Then we move over to Boom Studios, because I want to talk about this, and I hadn't paid much attention to it, even though I like Keanu Reeves. But the series that he's helping create, BRZRKR, BRZRKR, all caps, which was supposed to be a 12-issue series co-written with Matt Kent and drawn by Alessandro Vitti. But they just announced that Ron Garney is actually taking over the title. So the 12-issue series, so it will no longer be drawn by Alessandro. Ron Garney, who's drawn just a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of Wolverine, Captain America, probably some. I don't even know if he's ever done any Avengers. I don't know, but like some Thor stuff. Ron Garney's done a bunch. Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and a fantastic artist. So he's taking over the series. But the biggest bombshell is they're crowdfunding this now. So, but there's a hitch to it. So Berserker continue being a 12-issue series that will be put out through the normal channels, comic shops, online retailers, whatever. I imagine digital as well. But what they're doing for Kickstarter is expanding their audience and their reach. Now I dig this because now sometimes in the past I just kind of raise my eyebrows whenever publishers like take a book, or publishers or even just other big companies outside of comics go to crowdfunding methods to push a product. But there's always been this other avenue, like other purpose behind it, and some have done that, and that's what Boom Studios is doing with Berserker. They're using this as just a method to reach out. So what they're doing is offering up the collected editions on Kickstarter, which will begin dropping sometime in 2021. So what this means is you can still pick up those single issues, but they're dropping it. I like the timing of this, and a lot of people agree like timing is perfect. It's a perfect time to do or make this announcement for the Kickstarter, because the Bill and Ted 3, whatever the hell it's called, was just released, and apparently a lot of people loved it, dug it. I have not looked into it at all. I just didn't really care anymore, but I did enjoy the first 2 Bill and Ted movies when I was young. I haven't seen them in years. Like, honestly, I would love to watch them again. I just haven't seen them. And so, like, Bill and Ted 3, I just didn't really care that much about it. But a lot of people seem to love it. Just kind of reading various tweets, just come across the timeline, like, okay, people are digging it. So they dropped this announcement right after this, which was the perfect time. So, and Keanu Reeves is just one of those dudes right now from John Wick. I think John Wick has definitely been a big part of that. I've always enjoyed Keanu Reeves, though. Not even just The Matrix, but Speed, Point Break, especially those 2 movies. I love those. So he has this big fan base of, film goers. People who like enjoy movies, but you don't know what the overlap is with the comic side of it. So okay, he's doing this comic. So how can we get this comic to more people? Kickstarter. So and crowdfunding is big. It's bigger than comics because obviously it's used in a lot of different industries. So using Kickstarter to kind of spread the awareness of the title and just expand its reach. So all right, so we know typical moviegoers who aren't comic book fans, they're not going to a comic shop just to go check out this one random issue. There are some who obviously will, more adventurous type. The stigma around comic books and comic shops that people just don't want to rock with. So okay, so how can we get around that and get to reach these people with this content, with the story, and Kickstarter? Okay, so they know they can go and they can pre-order these books and get them delivered, so they don't have to do any extra work, any extra research, and they can get the book shop delivered right to them. They don't have to go to a shop and try to find a comic shop, because definitely depending on where you are. So that's just one avenue that hasn't been explored much, but I've kind of actually seen it on the rise a little bit. And one other example was with Image Comics, particularly Todd McFarlane, and that collector Spawn action figure kind of reissue, where it's just a redone and remodeled original Spawn action figure from 92 or whatever, 93, whenever the hell that figure first popped up. So we did that, and but the toy market is a little bit different because we don't have specialty stores. Toys R Us is gone, and all those other toy stores are absolutely gone. But we have really just Toys R Us and Wally World. But then you also have Walgreens. But he's using Kickstarter to kind of just expand his reach. All right, how do we get this to as many toy collectors directly as possible? And that's just one way of doing it. So that's what they're doing with Boom Studios and Berserker. And I kind of dig it. The other part is with the artist switch. I wonder how many people, again, I like Ryan Gurney, and I wasn't even that in tune with the book. I just kind of peeped it whenever I came across it. But I could imagine some people being turned off, like people who don't care for Ron Garney, didn't want to see what he's going to do with the book. Like, all right, so now you got this. So, all right, what are they going to do? Maybe some people are dropping their orders or just not bothering pre-ordering anyway. So, but that's that. I just want to share that with Berserker going crowdfunding. What do you think of that? Were you looking into Berserker at all? Were you interested in pre-ordering that? Or were you just waiting for the first issue to drop to check it out? What do you think of all the pre-order options? I didn't want to run through all of them, or the kickstarting options and all the different tiers, but I will link that in the description so you can go check that out if you haven't. So just recommend, just go take a look at that just for the hell of it. Even if you were just curious about it, just mildly curious, go take a look. Maybe you'll find something that might be interesting to you. Now, the last bit of news that I wanted to share with you, which is the one I was most excited to talk about, was from Vault Comics and their new imprint, Wonderbound Comics. So they had actually announced last year that they were going to have a new imprint, a YA imprint, young adult, which was going to be called Myriad. It was just going to be their new graphic novel imprint where they would publish all these cool, fun stories for younger readers, like what they call mid-grade, middle grade. So you're talking, maybe 5th grade, but probably more in the middle school range, and then going into maybe freshman year, like that kind of age range where you're talking, 10 to 13, 10 to 14, give or take. So they're going to do all this, and they're talking about some of the different stories, like just the fantasy and the kind of the fun, spookier type of stories, and just the kind of magic and bewilderment of that, and just kind of just digging deep into the imagination and just kind of sparking that for that age range and just anybody else who might be interested in that type of book, because it's geared towards, like when you're talking about YA, it is geared towards a specific range, but obviously reading material will vary, and it will definitely appeal to people outside of that, and that's okay. But I just thought this was cool because it's definitely something, again, I've talked about, like comics for kids and just the expansion of the audiences, and we definitely just can't forget kids, because a lot of us, like when you're older, you grew up reading comics. And I think back to the comics I read, and they definitely were probably not for kids. Some of them were, and even just a lot of books now, they're all for just, older teens and into definitely in the mature area. So we have to remember that there definitely needs to be kids, like material and reading material geared toward kids, and like cool, fun stories, not the corny, like watered down type of shit that this is just boring as hell, because kids get tired of that shit too. Just think about a lot of stuff that we grew up on, like the comics, the cartoons, the video games. It was all just cool, fun stuff. Even stuff that was absolutely just childish as hell was still cool and just fun, and something like you can still hang on to. I think about a lot of the cartoons, Rugrats, Doug. It still like resonates with me. Like I can still watch some of that stuff today and still just enjoy it the same way. So just shout out to Vault and Wonderbound Books. You can go check them out on Twitter, and they also kind of just have you sign up, or they want you to sign up for their email list, like a newsletter maybe, or just a sign up list just for like news updates, again, as they kind of gear up for the launch, which won't be happening until 2021. But they have announced a couple titles, Rascal Castle and The Unfinished Corner, and I will again just link there, just some stuff that you can go check that out, because I won't just dive too deep into it. Again, I just wanted to share this news because I thought it was cool, especially a lot of you who might have kids and you're always looking for new reading material to help get your kids into comics, and I definitely recommend that. And comics are just a great tool. Obviously, it's not just fun entertainment for us, the things that we like to spend money on, and some of it is lots of money, but there's definitely they serve multiple purposes, especially for younger readers, just building that imagination and helping influence readers and kind of sparking the desire to read and love and ability to read, because obviously you give comics to people like young kids who are struggling with reading or don't want to read, but this will definitely help them read as an interest, and just help them develop themselves as better readers. So lots of purposes there. So that's at Vault Comics and Wonderbound. So be on the lookout for them in the next year, and maybe they'll kind of start releasing more news and more titles as time goes on. So 2021 is definitely going to be a fun year as they expand. Now it's time for some recommendations, because we got a lot of cool books out today, including several new debuts. So we've got some new #1s on shelves in digital storefronts. First up is Black Widow #1. Marvel finally releasing this book, which was originally, I think, supposed to be released in either late April, early May, because the movie was supposed to come out in May. Everything got pushed because of COVID. Just absolutely just threw everything off. But it's finally here. Black Widow #1 got this cool cover, which I showed off again months ago. So I still had this image here just saved, because I think it was either a preview or I just wanted to shout out the cover. I don't remember what it was, but it's finally here. definitely get some. I think it's been a while since Natasha's had a series on, and as far as I know, it's still planning to be ongoing. So there it is, Black Widow #1. Finally ready to get this and read this book, because she also has a couple other Black Widow series coming up. There is one, I think it's called Widow Sting, that's supposed to drop. I just did the pre-order for that one, so that one will be out next 2 months or so. So Black Widow coming back, full swing, I should say full sting, Widow's like. But yeah, Black Widow #1, Marvel. And then over at Aftershock, we have Lonely Receiver #1. Now I do believe this is another series that had been scheduled to release months ago, but was another victim of the COVID delays. But it's finally here, Lonely Receiver #1, kind of taking a look at, it is a bit of a, I think it is, they do kind of call it a bit of a body horror, but kind of gorgeous horror, I think the artist was talking about. So it is kind of centers on this woman who has this artificial intelligence kind of either tied to her phone, or it is her phone. So she kind of built up this dependency on it, and then out of nowhere it dies. So it either just shuts down completely, or I don't know if it's specifically detailed, but just something about it just shutting down. So then she kind of deals with the aftermath of that, and how her dependency on that has altered her life. So I'm just like, all right, I think I had heard about it before, and I'm just kind of reading more about it. I was like, I don't know where I fall on that. Like, all right, you kind of get into stories like, all right, dealing with actual like real life society and people's dependence on technology. It's like, all right, do I want to see some of that in a comic book? I don't know. So I held off on pre-ordering, I think it was issue 2, which was in the last set of pre-orders I did. I'm like, I don't know. So I'm kind of hesitant. Maybe I'll take a look at it, but I just want to put out there, Lonely Receiver #1. If you pick that up, or if you plan on picking it up, let me know in the comments below, and definitely curious to see what you all think of that. We jump over to Boom Studios for this other book that apparently has been really hyped and I think sold out at the distributor level, whatever that actually means. We only find them when they're dead. #1. This is just another one, and I always shout out Boom because they always there's always kind of the steady stream of hits out there, miniseries and some ongoings, but there's just always some, I say low-key hits, because they're just maybe just aren't as big, aren't as well known, but they're like people who are into indie comics definitely always shouting them out. So I'm one of those people, so I always do that. And this is a book I'm like, all right, and I was at the shop and we were kind of talking about it. I was like, all right, you know what, I may actually look into picking this up, checking it out. So we only find them when they're dead. #1. Head over to Dark Horse because they got a couple titles, and one is Bang #3, which was kind of another title that I believe got kind of suffered through some delays because of COVID. And I think the first time I pre-ordered them, they ended up getting canceled, and then resolicited, so I pre-ordered them again. It finally came out, the first 2 issues, and I'm like, all right, I dig it. So I'm into it, and I already had them still, like the next one's pre-ordered. I'm like, all right, and this is issue #3 of 5. So yeah, it's kind of like this weird kind of spy story, like fiction, metafiction. I don't even know how you would even describe it. They probably have a specific way of describing it in their synopsis, but it kind of deals with all these characters written by this writer, but they actually exist, like they come to exist within that, like the actual real world. So it's hard to describe. So the writer ends up interacting with the characters in those spy stories, like almost like a James Bond versus like a legacy character. So all these different characters, all these different people who carry the same name, or at least is it the same title or name? But they carry the same thing. I dig it. It's actually comics, and I love it. So that's Bang #3 from Dark Horse. Now the other series from Dark Horse is Spy Island #1, and I feel like this one was definitely a victim of COVID delays, because I feel it was even supposed to drop even sooner than Black Widow was. So I'm talking maybe March or early April, but it got pushed. So we finally get announced early September, first week of September, first new comic book day. Spy Island #1 is here, and it's been so long since I even read this like the description of it. I'm gonna actually read it like word for word here. So here, Spy Island, super spy Nora Frun, no relation, has a plum assignment. She's stationed on a tropical island. Her mission: keep an eye on things. Her problem: The island is on the lip of the Bermuda Triangle where anything can happen. Her other problem, this particular island is a den of intrigue populated by spies, terrorists, and evil villains set on global domination. Spy Island is a 4-issue special limited series by the creative team that brought you Man-Eaters. So here it is, Spy Island. And I was like, all right, now actually just reading that again for the first time in months, it kind of brought it all back to me. It's like, oh yeah, that's why I did it besides just being spy. So just the title alone, Spy Island, I can dig it. You absolutely have my attention. And then reading that again, like, yep, that's why I pre-ordered it, because this sounds right up my alley. Spies, you're gonna have crime and villains, and just mad into the Bermuda Triangle, which is just gonna be, probably just gonna be a damn near a character in itself. So I'm looking forward to this. Let me know if you did pick up Spy Island, or if you are interested in picking that up. Spy Island #1, Dark Horse Comics. So that was just a few recommendations. Again, lots of books out today, but I definitely want to highlight some of those. Got some cool indie books and a bunch of series debuts. Some delays that are finally hitting us, finally hitting stores, physical stores, digital storefronts. So lots of cool stuff out there. Let me know what you picked up today, and a lot of comic news, because the DC hiring Daniel Cherry, the new so they got a new GM. They announced their new editor-in-chief, which I believe they're still just interim, but I have not. Again, I think some reports it said interim, others just said editor-in-chief. We had that, the Vault and their new kind of, they call it a younger sibling imprint, Wonderbound Books, Wonderbound Comics, I think it's going to be the actual title. That's their website, Wonderbound Comics. And then Boom Studios taking BRZRKR to KickStarter to expand the reach. Let me know what you think of all of that good news. Also, what you picked up today. I don't even have time, so I'm not even going to show off everything I picked up today, but this is it. I will do a separate video for this little stack of books, so be on the lookout for that tomorrow. My little comic haul, got some cool books to show off, but I just wanted to share all this cool news and some cool recommendations. And as always, I definitely want to hear what you're going to pick up this week, what you've been reading, what surprise stuff are you looking forward to, what other comic news out there, again, because there's always, comics is definitely always rolling, there's always stuff to talk about. Cool stuff all around the industry on all different sides. So let me know in the comments below. Happy reading, happy hunting, happy collecting, happy new comic day. Again, go read some comics, go enjoy yourselves. This is GENOTHADRAGON. Thanks for watching, and peace out.